My name is Yoram Ettinger. I was an ambassador at the Israeli embassy in Washington in charge of Israel's relations with the U.S. Congress. And
how did that go?
very well,
Good.
very well. And I'm an expert on U.S.-Israel relations, Middle East affairs, but especially on Israeli contributions to American economy and defense, which exceed by far what is erroneously referred to as U.S. foreign aid to Israel, which in fact is an American investment in Israel, which yields back return on investment of a few 100% year in and year out.
Actually, I was going to ask if I could quickly. You already mentioned it anyway, because a lot of people in the West are always assuming, oh, all these countries are begging for money from America. Oh, look at Ukraine. Oh, Israel always asking for money. You've already explained that, you know, it's a very different relationship with Israel. Not only, it's not really just like handouts. Firstly, America gets a lot from Israel, but also the money, either Israel buys weapons or is an investment. But can you also explain the difficult relationship that Israeli governments have had with different American governments? For example, under different presidents, different parties, it's been difficult. And, you know, the world thinks that both countries have been, very strong allies. But, you know, without naming names or like the presidents or the parties, you can tell that some of the Americans were obstacles and the wrong times. When Israel could have defended itself, they said don't. And sometimes when it says defend yourself, I don't know what's going on now, but they're not defending themselves. So explain that complicated relationship between Israel and America, depending on the governments.
Well, it's not complicated. It has been very systematic. Every single American president since Truman in '48 until the end of the Biden administration, every president pressured Israel and sometimes also punished Israel by suspending supply of combat aircraft, suspending different defense agreements. The only president who so far has not pressured Israel or did not pressure Israel is President Trump. However, while every president from '48 until the end of Biden's administration pressured Israel, the strategic cooperation surged beyond the most optimistic assessment for a reason. And the reason has been that, contrary to conventional wisdom, the relations are not a one-way street, the relations are two-way street. U.S. provides Israel with very essential military assistance, without which we maybe could not have made ends meet. But when we receive those military systems, we receive them as the battle-tested laboratory of the U.S. defense industry and aerospace industry, and every single day the battle-tested laboratory provides the defense industry with lessons, which mean research and development saving of anywhere from 10 to 20 years. Anyone who knows anything about the cost of research and development in the area of combat aircraft, for instance, knows that that means that Israel provides bonanza of mega billion dollars every single year to the U.S. defense industry. Not only do we provide them with saving of 10 to 20 years of research and development, those lessons that we provide the industry in the U.S. enhance their competitiveness in the global market, which brings back to America more exports, which means additional billions of dollars. On top of that, Israel serves as a major innovation center, not only for some 250 high-tech giants in America, but we are the #1 innovation center for the U.S. military force. Because every single battle, every single surge of terrorism yields lessons, which we share, most of them, with our allies in the U.S., which means a very high-intensity use of American combat aircraft by the Israeli Air Force provides the American Air Force, which does not experience that intensity, with lessons which improve the tactical capabilities of American pilots. And on top of all that, we are the AAA store of the American defense industry. When Israel carried out the Air Force offensive on Iran on October 26 of last year, we carried it out with American combat aircraft. The world noticed the most complex operation which we carried, by the way, the most complex, the most successful operation by any Air Force since Second World War. And the world contemplates, should they buy Chinese or Russian or French or British or Italian or other combat aircraft? None of the other countries have such a AAA store as the American aerospace industry, and therefore, following the October 26 operation conducted by Israel against Iran, there were more export orders for the American defense and aerospace industry.
Can I ask one quick question? Just like in short, and it's not going to be easy, but obviously, as you said, the previous administration has always been actually difficult, apart from Trump so far. But the relationship between Israelis and Americans have always been good, strategically and everything else. Just in short, do you think the potential deal between Iran and the US could be bad? Because I think it would.
Anyone who contemplates negotiation with Iran is determined to repeat rather than avoid past mistakes, because you can have successful negotiation with a party which principally accepts peaceful coexistence. Anyone who knows anything about the Ayatollah regime in Iran knows that this is a regime driven by a 1400-year-old ideology that does not accept the so-called apostate Sunni regimes and does not accept the so-called infidel Western culture, especially the great American Satan. While the Americans view negotiation as a step towards reconciliation, the Ayatollah view negotiation as a means to recuperate from previous defeats, to regain power, to avoid a very mighty American military operation, and approach to achieving a nuclear capability. And therefore, any negotiation with that regime ignores the experience of the last 47 years since the Ayatollah gained power. Negotiation have been a bonanza for the Ayatollahs, transforming them from the American policemen of the Gulf to the #1 epicenter of anti-American terrorism and drug trafficking. Economic sanctions, at best, are reversible. Trump imposed economic sanctions. Biden came and suspended them. The only way to limit the scope of wars and terrorism is by obliterating the major epicenter of war and terrorism, which means regime change in Iran.
Thank you so much. There we go.